Okay, there we go. Let's play another round of Axe Ghost. Let's see what we have today. Well, no score entry by Thomas so far, so we don't have any benchmark there. Um, Fixes since last time. The bug that ruined Richard's record-breaking run. Yes, it's fixed. Yeah, that was a bit sad. That was a very good run, but Axe Ghost is still in development, so stuff happens. It crashed. End of the run. Let's try again today. Um, and I think these new weapons were already in last time. Yes. Okay. Let's see what we get today. It's the 16th of July. Our specials are the mirror, which I kind of like, and this rotator thing, which is um, it's not super powerful. Neither one of these two is. So this is gonna be a hard run. Let's see. Let's see. There's a few specials that definitely make it easier, and every time you play the daily, you get a random selection of two specials. Um, so today the mirror is one of them. I kind of like it because it allows for some very smart plays, but it's also a bit hard to figure out sometimes what is, or the plays aren't that obvious. So let's see. We have to be a bit cautious today because we don't have a broom to push back this whole group of enemies. Um, but let's see how this plays out. So what we're starting off with here, it's a very normal situation. I'm gonna see. Hmm. What would I like to do? I definitely want to get those skulls connected somehow. I could move these there, move those to the side, and I have one swap, or switch, which typically is so useful that I should always try and use it. That's don't see a very obvious approach here. Well, let's go slightly different. I'll swap out this group of ogres with skulls so that we start off with quite a nice bunch of skulls already connected. Can I use the mirror in a reasonably smart way? I don't immediately see much use there. Um, yeah, sure. I'll move those up one. So we have a nice group of skulls here. Um, so this turn, I could get rid of some stuff, but I don't necessarily need to. I think I'm going to play this quite straightforward. Connect some ogres, connect some devils, and then, since in the next turn I can swap this group with, for example, this devil, we'll end up with a nice bunch of devils all together. And I could even, I'll add one there. Then, shall we do it this way? I think that makes most sense. Okay, quite nice. And it also means like in the next turn I could do one more swap. For example, I could make these into red devils, and then take out this whole group. So I have some more space to work with. There are other options for now. Hmm. Um, what happens like this? Do I want that? Yeah, I think I can do something with this here. Ideally, this one moves one to the side, which I can do in the next turn. So I'm going to say this is fine. I'm just going to try and create one big group, knowing that I'm going to take them out in the next turn. So I'm not worried about them. And there we go. So this is the plan. I'm going to connect. Is this smart? Oh no, I can't do that. I knew that. So it's very untypical to move things closer to X Ghost to me because that tends to be the thing you don't want to do. But I think in this case it makes a lot of sense. So I'm going to move these closer, connecting them, these two together. Then I can use the switch like this. And that's already a nice group. Um, and I have no other choice than deleting these. That's a fine start. That might be enough to cause a route. No, not quite. Probably needed a few more. So I have this freeze or this ice option now, which doesn't come at the most useful moment, but I will probably use it like this. Move these so that this becomes one group, and this kind of makes sense. Nice, nice mirror. Uh, things are already looking quite organized, so I will freeze these because it just buys me a bit more time, and since these are the closest to me anyway. So this has the potential to become a large group because I still have quite some time before they reach me. There's no robots or Garnamar yet, so nothing too big to worry about. And they're already quite nicely sorted. I will definitely use the swap. Um, this seems a logical choice. And then let's see. What do we do? Just move those up a bit and no very clear preference here. I'm going to move those up a bit because there might be a chance for me to push all of them up slowly. Okay, well, one extra skull doesn't hurt, but nothing too exciting. But in the next turn, I get two of these switches, which will allow me to create a nice larger group. Let's see. What do I want to do here? I would almost say not much. Moving that one there, even though I'm not entirely sure that was such a smart move, but let's see. We'll see later. Um, I mean, these will at some point maybe move upward still. This one, maybe not so much. It's fine. I will just add one skull there, and I think the rest is very fine as they are. So not using that card. Um, yeah, since the switch is so useful, I will just go for this. And here, The only annoying thing is I haven't connected my skulls yet. So ideally, these green ogres would become skulls first, but that isn't really um, something that's possible right now. And there's okay. I guess this is a slower approach, but now I have created one big group of skulls. I also see that in the next turn I have this very nice vertical push that allows me to stack everything a bit snug together. Um, but yeah, one more swap, I guess like this. I mean, look at that's looks very nice and tidy. Moving those out of the way. Garnamar is near. Well, not so near yet, but that's good. We want Garnamar to join the party. Let's see. Do I want to move all of these up because it doesn't bring me so much as I have this column here that won't move. No, I'm actually gonna let them stay as they are. I will freeze the whole bunch. And before I do so, let's add one. And yeah, doing some small adjustments never hurts. And this is looking good. This is already a nice group and it will get bigger. I'll let it grow a bit. Um, Still 2 more turns, which should be fine. It's always a bit of a risk, but I'm pretty sure we'll get something in the turn after the next turn that will solve our problems. So for now, mm, skulls first. Doesn't really matter. Um, I will move this one down and swap it around like that. Small tweaks. Garnamar getting closer. Um, yeah, sure. Let's swap some more. I can do this a bit more efficient because I can add another devil, which, why not here? Just change that. Because then I can have these two swap, which means there's, that's a nice stack. Now here it starts to be useful to wait another round. Is it? Is it really? I just freeze them in the next turn. Let's see. Let's move them up. And depends a bit on what's next. So to be honest, this one, well, I can still move all of them up a bit. Just postponing the inevitable. Yeah, it's all very fine. Nothing really to worry about. Let's freeze them. And we're building up towards a very nice and large group. I do think that it means that in the next turn we're gonna take out the whole bunch. There's not much more we can optimize for. Uh, Really, nothing much to do here. So, is there anything we want to do? Not really. No, because this very likely also means that, like, by taking these out, is there any way to connect this one to the bunch? Yes, there is. Why not? Look at that. All the devils need to go. Uh, let's use the correct one. There we go. That's a very decent start. So now things will get interesting because this definitely caused a rout, which means they're regrouping. And as you can see, they immediately regroup in a way more difficult layout than before. So there's now 4 robots who joined the party, and these robots simply cannot be destroyed. They can be swapped out with other ones, but um, they will they will not directly be harmed, so to say. And next to that, there's also this is already a very dense group of enemies, and they are quite scattered. So the lucky thing here is that we immediately start off with 2 of these, which brings us some pleasant options. I see a nice way of connecting all of these. Then again, hmm, yeah, that seems useful. I could even. What's the best approach here? This one or this one? Well, let's go with the one that's closest. Yes, you want to talk to us, Mr. Robot. Like this, and then another one. I'd say this looks a lot better than what we started with. Let's go. Okay, so what do we have? There's also on the next turn we get a freeze, which is useful, but things are already getting quite close to the bottom, which is a bit scary. Also, it seems Garnamar is almost there. Hmm. So it might be useful to already get rid of some groups here. And that doesn't necessarily have to be this bigger group because we can maybe save that one for later. Um, but let's see. There's a lot of skulls and there's a lot of ogres to work with. So I'd mainly actually want to get rid of the devils in between. So let's make that the approach for now. And I could. It's a small change, but maybe I'm just gonna try and move those closer. It's hmm, well, not super exciting, but that's fine. We do have one of these. We have a coin, which means we can basically skip one turn or go to the next set of cards without the enemies approaching one grid space closer to us. This will come in very handy, and it might be worth using that soonish. There's a freeze this turn, there's a freeze the next turn, but we haven't yet managed to create one big group here, which means these robots are gonna continue getting closer. I can't freeze both the robots and the ogres at this point. So we have some options for buying more time. And I think, again, I want to get rid of probably these. I, th I think it's an okay approach. It's getting a bit scary, but I should still be fine. Shoot. Let's see if it's true. Oh, there we have Garnamar. There at the center, approaching. Uh, but we'll have to get to Garnamar later. There's it's not the priority right now. Well, hmm. Yeah, moving these up one space. Oh, that didn't exactly play out as I intended. I could have seen that. Well, in that case, hmm, what do I do? What do I do here? That's also not really what I want to do. Okay, it's starting to get slightly more complicated than I thought it was. I'm gonna freeze these. So this is scary. We need to do something about this. We can freeze them, and then next turn get rid of them, and then move all of those robots upwards. At the same time, so the deal with Garnamar is that we can hurt Garnamar if he's surrounded on all four sides by the same enemy type, which we are surprisingly close at achieving already. We could even manage, but that's unfortunately not really what we should be doing because we have this whole bunch that requires some attention. I'm gonna freeze them. I know I want to do that. I could either move these. Hmm. Okay, let's do it like this. I'll move these there and then use this one to push them up one. Okay. Yeah, slightly scary, but still fine. The thing is, we could hurt Garnamar, but there's no way of dealing with all of these at the same time. We do now. Well, no, we can't. We do have this nice swap. Can we can create a very large group of ogres, then take them out, then move the robots up. I think that's what it needs to be. Creating some space so we have some space to work with, and this looks very fine. Let's see. So I think it makes sense to add or move this skull upward so that Garnamar is already surrounded by three of them. And then we worry about adding another skull there later. We might just get lucky and get a separate skull spawner. We might not, though. Yeah, I never want to pass on these, but at the same time, it's not incredibly useful right now. It's still useful enough to do so. Um, what do I do? Mm, looking at the next turn, well, I want to get it over there so we can create a group of devils on the right side, and these robots could also, without too much effort, become one group. It's a bit of a shame that these aren't connected yet, so let's see. What do we do? I might just get rid of these. Then that one there. And this one over there. Looks looks cozy. Garnamar is still safe for now, but this is looking fine, and these two devils will move upwards soon. Well, this should move up very soon, as in right now. So let's connect the two of them and get them all the way up there. Or do we move these up first? Hmm. Yeah, let's take the slow approach. And do we want to swap? Well, this makes sense, but we're going to save that for the next turn. It's this one first. So now we have these moves. We're moving this one up there, swapping those out, and this is starting to look very cozy. If we damage Garnamar, it will also destroy the connected enemies of the same type. So we're building a nice group of skulls. Um, yeah, that's quite fine. Do we want to get rid of it? So here's the thing: we can't delete these robots or destroy them. We could just take out one devil here, or we add an ogre, creating a bit of a bigger group to swap out. Or even this one. Let's see. I could have actually swapped out the devil with an ogre. Seems more useful looking back now. Okay, so I mean, we're not surrounding Garnamar at the moment, and we need some strategy to take care of these robots over here. I don't want to freeze them because then they'll move next to Garnamar, which kind of ruins the idea. We could swap out Garnamar like this. Actually, I'm not against that one. Um, hmm. What about mirroring the whole thing? Nah, then we have something to move in front of Garnamar. No, I think the... Hmm. What's the better approach here? I'm gonna move these there, freeze them, and then... Oh yeah, I have this one. That's useful. How did I not think of that? Yeah, this is good. Okay, next turn. So unfortunately, we don't have the action that moves these skulls nicely here around Garnamar. That would be a very useful moment to give one of those, and it's also not happening the next turn. So what do we do? What do we do? These need to go. These need to go. I still have a coin, which I don't mind using at all right now. I can turn all of these. Okay, so there's a thing I could do. I can turn. Oh, it's not entirely working. Mm. Ooh, I could swap these two. Then Garnamar is surrounded by skulls. Okay, but before we do so, let's turn these into an even larger group, and they will all be cute ogres. Then this will happen, and there's not much more. I'm just doing that for fun. Okay, so the thing is, this turn I can't attack Garnamar. I can do that on the next turn, so that probably means we'll need to use the coin to skip one move of the enemies. At the same time, we have this pop, which I haven't used this run so far. It allows you to destroy one unit, and it spawns. Okay, yeah, it spawns that enemy type in the surrounding squares. Um, it's it's kind of cool. It's hard to use. It's hard to find situations where, well, here it wouldn't be bad. Basically, deleting one ogre, creating two new ones. That's a minor improvement, but still it is. Um, yeah, and there really is no way for me to not use this coin, as far as I can see. So what my goal is with this turn is to try and get this group of ogres as big as possible, which, yeah, could mean I'm using this. There's not much to gain here, but for the fun of it, let's see which. This one doesn't really connect all of them, but let's do it. And hmm. Well, there you go. And do we need another one of these? Actually, we don't. So here, let's use the coin. This is what we're going to play. Is there any reason to do something else before we do so? I don't think so. We also still need to move these robots. So even though this destroys the whole group of ogres and moves Garnamar up one space, we need to be sure to at least save this action, because this allows us to move those robots to the left. So let's go. And with that, that's the first time Garnamar takes a hit in this run. We need 4 hits before Garnamar is vulnerable to our final attack. Definitely not always the case that I managed to get there. Um, so let's see. Those go there. I'd say do we want to freeze something? Or just work on our regrouping of things? I'm gonna do it like this, because there's potential in creating a large group of robots on that side, and maybe swapping them out with another enemy type at some point. And what about Garnamar? We want to find a next position for Garnamar to be in where we can surround him with enemies, which isn't at the side. Um, though, we could just first move Garnmar here, and then in the next turn maybe move him there. That's quite appealing to me. Let's go for that. There's then some swapping to be done. Well, that might not be bad at all. Yeah. So here, our 5 robots now turned into 1 robot and created 5 skulls, which I'm now going to swap, and this is looking very manageable. I used my coin, so I need to be a bit careful. I don't have any backup for that, so let's see. What do we do? I'd say Garnamar wants to be there at the very least, or there. Hmm. Which of these will move upwards? Not sure yet. Might also want to use the freeze. Then again, choices. A game of choice. Let's just go with somewhat simple approach. Okay. I can move these up there. I should not forget about this one though. It needs to go. So I'll take the simple approach. These go up. Garnamar is getting threatened already, which is good. Kinda would love to pay some attention to the robots, so that at some point they do get connected. This one, well, it's all still very, very fine. But let's make a minor adjustment there. What do we have? We have some freeze options. We have, in the next turn, we can switch this whole group into skulls. That would leave Garnamar vulnerable again. Definitely seems appealing. It would also not be bad creating a larger group like this. Ooh, but I do want to use the freeze. Well, then again, do I really? Maybe I don't need to. Okay, moving those there. I'd say, turning these into a group, just creating some space. Deleting them, maybe. Okay. So we need to be a bit careful. This whole group will need to get frozen, which is good. And then, but before I do so, let's make it so that Garnamar is really surrounded by these skulls. That move, that's tricky. That actually would ruin my chances. I think this is what it needs to be. Just don't want to accidentally disconnect the group and leave myself with an impossible situation. Frozen. There we go. So this will happen. And then let's start with that. That's good. Then I will move that one upwards and freeze those. So we're managing quite fine. Still a bit on the edge, but it's good. If we would be able to kill Garnemar, we'd end up with a very decent score because we had some big groups in the beginning of the game. But let's see, I could turn these into something else. Where does Garnemar go? Just up? Or here? I don't know. Maybe Garnemar just goes up. And then we start working on creating a nice bunch of ogres surrounding him. I think so. These might want to join there at some point. Yeah, let's not overthink it. So this is a bit tricky. I think what we need to do here is focus on the robots first. I can swap them out and then delete them or like kill them, which it makes sense. Let's do that. It's not really exciting, but it's fine. So there we go. Garnemar. It's looking good. But not such great options this turn. There's a funny move. Well, actually doesn't quite work. I thought about maybe swapping these. It doesn't really get me there. Well, it does. Well, okay. Let's do that. So then I can move these to the side, which isn't great. I need to be a bit careful about this group of ogres. This looks like the safer approach. Could still do it. It's a bit messy, but why not? Why not? So this is a bit like there's two separate groups there, which doesn't feel very pleasing. But then again, I just freeze those, and I will have to do this. I'm afraid it's not the highest of scores. It's also not too bad. Will I be able to? Would be nice if this one is also connected to that group. It doesn't really work. Do I see any options? I don't think I do. And let's not forget about this one though. Let's go for a simpler approach. Because I shouldn't get myself into a big mess here. Let's freeze these. Okay, we have a robot to take care of. We have a bunch of them creeping closer in a not so pleasant way. I'd... Let's see, what do we do? I can... No, I can't. Um, what about this one? What do we do with you? Hmm, it's not so pleasant. I unfortunately can't turn these into devils. So, what can I do? What can I do? Let's not forget about the robot. Hmm. To be honest, it does look a bit messy. Not very pleasant. I and I really don't like this one here. It's in the way of things. And I can delete only one, which might be this one, or it could be a larger group. Hmm. I'm tempted to just freeze these. Then what else is there to do? Yeah, well, I'm taking my time here. This is also useful. It's too useful to not do. Um, well, bit tricky, bit tricky. We actually we're getting in a tight spot here. I can delete this group, destroy this group, move this one up, but it's scary because it's only buying us a little bit of time. It doesn't feel very efficient. We're only removing tiny groups. Like here, I could create a huge group of skulls, but then I don't have enough time to. I cannot afford doing so because these two will need to go. So that feels definitely like a shame. I also I could get rid of this one, but then how do I move these out of the way? So I have this option. I could rotate around Garnamar, but it creates problems rather than solves them. The other option is getting rid of these, moving the others up. Not ideal either. What does one do? Or move this one out of the way. These to the side. It's not enough. No. No, no, no. Have I been reckless? Nah, it's fine. I mean, don't think this is such an elegant way, but we live another turn. Uh, Next turn is pretty good for us. Will we get there? Uh, that's not so evident, but I think we do. Well, only just. So there's an option for me to move this row one unit. No, wait. That's not good enough. That's not... That won't do. Because we have this Gardevoir. Oh, I think I might not manage. So, the thing is, this group, the only way to prevent that from getting closer is freezing it. I don't have any other options that really work. Freezing it would only work if I also freeze this one, which unfortunately I can't swap these skulls so that they become devils because there's no devil directly above them. Ah, that's unfortunate. So what can I do with this? Can't really. Well, might be over. So, wait, Thomas, are you suggesting something right now? Is this a shift a higher row right, then swap to make more devils, then freeze the... Yeah, right. That's what I thought. But then I don't have time for Gardevoir, right? Like this would be the move you're thinking of. Move these one to the right, so I could swap and turn all of these into devils. Then I could freeze the devils, but Garny is still gonna make the move. Oh no! If you say it's true, it means there's probably no options. Well, obviously we have to accept our fate sometimes. I think this is one of those moments, but I would love to get to those next cards. They look so appealing all of a sudden. Um, and the game is really good at offering you last minute options that are hard to spot and could get you to the next turn. But to be honest, I need to take care of three. I need to prevent three different types of enemies from getting closer. That means that I would each of these actions. I can't waste an action on moving this row. Unfortunately, I can't. Ah, I think it's time to accept my fate. It is. Um, which means I will use a skull axe. But before I do so, like I could use a skull here. That's already a lot of enemies that will go out. So I can probably optimize that a bit. Let's create one bigger group, which definitely looks like it will be this. That would already take out a lot, like almost all of them. Well, the freeze won't help because we're not gonna do another turn. Micro-organizing a few more. So the skull axe will take out this entire group of skulls, but then also every connected group. Which in this case, yeah, I don't think there's much more to do. Does it take out Gardevoir? If we connect Gardevoir? No, it doesn't. It shouldn't. Makes sense. Well, Gardevoir, you get to live another day, But who knows? Maybe Thomas will have a go. There we go. Okay, not bad, not great, um, but not an easy run with the two specials being the mirror and the rotating thing. Yeah, underestimated the danger a bit in that last part. I think I could have played that smarter. But it is what it is, Garnemar. Congratulations. That was X Ghost, a game in development by Tomasz Kaye. A lot of fun. You can find the demo on Steam and try it out for yourself. Until next time.